ship actually fit so we could pick up the skip. Normally,
give your maximum depth, cruising depth?
No, sir, I'm not permitted to. I can simply say that we can go deeper than 400 feet.
okay, do you have any indication of that?
We're permitted to say that we can cruise at speeds over 20 knots.
How fast are you going under the pole?
Under the pole, we were going over 20 knots.
Do you have any indication whether the Russians spotted you at the time that you were passing through the Bering Strait?
We have no indication whatsoever. I would be extremely surprised if they did, because all we did coming through there, in order to ascertain a precise navigation point before going through the rather restricted channel between the Diomedes Islands and the Alaskan coast, we came up to periscope depth, put our radar up for about 30 seconds, pulled everything down, and we were on our way. If the Russians detected us, they're awfully good. We could look through our periscope and we could see the ice going overhead. It's quite a fascinating sight. It's like clouds going by extremely rapidly. We also have mounted what I suppose is the first installation of a closed television network. We have a television camera pointed directly upward, and we were also able to observe the ice passing by looking at the television. Nautilus is an attack-type submarine, and by that we mean her function is to sink ships, whether they be surface ships or submerged ships, other submarines. Now, undoubtedly, at considerable cost, she could be modified or altered to shoot missiles, but so long as the Soviet Union has such a tremendous submarine fleet, we need to have, and it's very important to have, ships to combat or prospectively combat that fleet. I think we do have, from everything that I know or have heard about, a very significant and tremendous lead in nuclear propulsion. And the first part, I believe, is question: why don't the Soviets seem to be doing too well? Maybe it's because Admiral Rickover never volunteered to go over there.
invariable answer, no, they cannot be satisfied. The United States and the United Kingdom are seeking all sorts of pretexts for delaying the United Kingdom troops from Lebanon and Jordan.
Our aim is a peaceful world. And if Soviet communism didn't keep the world stirred up all the time, we'd have a peaceful world. Mr. President, Mr. Gromyko has not offered one scintilla of proof or one single thing that he has said. This speech was straight, unadulterated vilification. It's mere Billingsgate. It's abuse with a sinister ulterior motive. Speeches of this kind make a travesty of the United Nations. They reveal all too clearly Mr. Gromyko's contempt for the United Nations. It insults the intelligence of the members. It casts grave doubt on Mr. Gromyko's intentions, and I have already given the whole speech far more attention than it deserves. Thank you.
The responsible citizen who fails to direct his full effort toward a Republican victory in 1958 is, in effect, inviting the adoption of unsound, unwise, and unpalatable legislation during the next 2 years. The American people should take a long and hard look at the alternatives to the election of a Republican Congress. Anyone who lived through 20 years of the New Deal and the Fair Deal will never forget the grief they brought. A massive surge toward centralization of governmental power in Washington, a calculated attack upon states' rights, more and more federal controls, planned deficit spending, crushing taxes, labor strife and long work stoppages, widespread corruption, and a relentless and bitter attack upon private enterprise, with all of this preceding and following 2 bloody and costly wars. More today than ever before, the Democrat Party is dominated by certain political labor bosses and left-wing extremists. This means beyond question that the next National Democrat administration and any future Democrat-controlled Congress would be far to the left of the New Deal and the Fair Deal.
The President has just issued the following statement. The world is poor because of the death of Pope Pius XII. His was a full life of devotion to God and to the service of his fellow men. An informed and articulate foe of tyranny, he was a sympathetic friend and benefactor to those who were oppressed, and his helping hand was always quick to aid the unfortunate victims of war. Without fear or favor, he consistently championed the cause of a just peace among the nations of the earth. A man of profound vision, he kept pace with a rapidly changing universe, yet never lost sight of mankind's eternal destiny. I was privileged to know him personally. With men of goodwill everywhere, I mourn his passing.